Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. It's great to see some of the not so common films rebranded and put into attractive looking packages. So how many of you guys heard of Svema NK-2 or NK-2SH? I'm not going to lie to you, I've never heard of it before. Of course I've heard of Svema before, but I've never heard of this particular film. Let us know in the comments if any of you guys know, because I certainly don't. But anyway, my friends over at No1 Film have got a load of the Svema NK-2SH. Why do they call it S? Why didn't you just call it something simple? FP4 simple, HP5 simple. Anyway, they've respooled it, and it's fresh stock as well. It's not expired, it's fresh stuff. And they've respooled it, they've put it in this nice little packaging. It's called Dragon, and they've called it their #1 film because they've got a few other films going on at the moment. And they're a new start-up as well. They're a son-in-law and father-in-law team. And I've been speaking to them on and off for about a year or so, talking about darkroom stuff. They've also got another company called the Little British Camera Company that sells film things. You can go on there and have a look. But a couple of nice guys. So they decided to grab hold of some of this stuff and start respooling it. And here it is here. But I want to see what it's like. There are some times online for this stuff, but I had to go and do my own times. I'll show you that in a short while, how I tested this film and got really good results out of it. And it is pretty good, I must admit. So I've just come down to my local farm, camera, lens on, and I think I've got about another 20 odd shots left in this film. So it'd be nice to have a little test around here. I might go off and do some more somewhere else, but I've got all these cows here I'm going to take a few pictures of. Obviously I've got to be mindful of the black cows because they're not going to come out too great. I'll have to go real low shutter speeds for that one, being a 100 speed film, but and I've got my cap on. Someone said in the comments the other day I'm trying to be like a 15-year-old because I had my cap back to front. How am I going to take pictures? I have to put it back to front to take pictures. I always get wary around here in case one of the cows jump out of the gates, you know. I always make a plan what I'm going to do. Let's probably jump on a tractor or something. So I've got the camera in aperture priority mode. I've set the ISO to 100, so I'm going to shoot it at normal speed and we'll try a few shots in sunlight and also in shade. One shot, I think he blinked. Whenever I'm testing a new film, I'm not one for sticking charts and graphs up of the curves and la-di-da-di-da. I'll first find a happy development time and then I'll shoot the film in various conditions and see how they turn out, especially on paper in the darkroom. From there I can decide if a film would suit my style of photography for various projects. Nothing has to be complicated or technical, you just got to like the results. So I'm having a bit of struggle at the moment. As I'm taking pictures, I'm advancing and I'm watching the advance crank. See that turn? Look at that, it's turning. I think the film is loose inside. So when I'm advancing, that's not turning. So I'm having to tighten it up just to see if it has caught on. So I'm picture number 3, but the last thing I want to do is get back and go, damn, I didn't put the film in properly. Well, I don't think I did. Sometimes these films, especially the respools, can get caught inside. Just tension it up a little tiny bit, take your shot and then advance. And if it spins, you know that you're okay. You're in trouble when it doesn't spin round. It means your film hasn't been put in the camera properly and you're just taking pictures of nothing. And I'm not affiliated at all with No1 Films. I'm not earning any commission out of their films or whatever. They've sent me one roll of this film to play with and they just wanted to get my thoughts on it. So I thought I'd put a video out for you guys to have a little look and see what you guys think about it as well. Maybe you've shot it before, maybe you've shot the Svema NK-2 or the NK-2SH. Let us know if you have. So I had to do a little tiny bit of research on this film. Svema is a company that is owned by Astram, I think, in Ukraine. So it's a Ukraine-based film. And apparently, many moons ago, this Svema NK-2 was a motion picture film. So obviously, mostly for directors over that way back in the day. But they've got this fresh film stock now that they're making and they're putting it out for photographers. And the film itself is quite thin. That's the first thing I noticed a little bit. I think the Astram's like that as well, Astram film. It's got that thin base, it's that polyester base. So if you're used to going in the darkroom without a pair of scissors, you need to cut the film and you can do it with your teeth. You can't do that with this stuff. It's just like, it ain't gonna rip at all. So it's quite a strong, tough base, but it is quite thin. And with this stuff, you've got to make sure that you load it in your camera in subdued light. Otherwise you're gonna get light piping piping, the light's going to come through the cassette and start hitting the first few frames of your exposures. I've had that before and it's not nice at all. So when you load this film, you've got to make sure you turn the lights off or do it in subdued light to eliminate any of that piping where the light leaks underneath the cassette. But looking online, Dragon aren't the only ones respooling this film. If you go online and search for Svema NK-2, there are a few different places that I've found that are respooling this film, and all the prices are around about the same. So let us know if you've shot this film in the comments and what you think of it. I'm going to be going out in a moment and shooting this film. I did shoot some yesterday when my niece came over to see us, and I grabbed her and said, quick, come out in the garden, I want to take a few pictures of you. And I literally put the film in the camera, shot about 4 or 5 photographs and cut the film out of the camera, and then got developing. I was developing using the tests that I did with a few clip tests. I'll show you that in a moment. And there are times for this on the website and on the massive dev chart for Svema NK-2, but I think to myself, you know, that's someone else's interpretation, or maybe the manufacturer have put them times out, or usually the massive dev chart you've got other people's recommended times and stuff. But I always find it's best to experiment myself and find my happy medium with a certain film and a certain developer and the way that I develop film. And the thing with developing film and looking at other people's times and you going exactly at the same times, there's so many different variables to think about. When, you know, what their water may be, the hardness of the water might affect it, my temperature, my thermometer might be a little bit, you know, not reading the right measurements as theirs, but I'm used to it. My measuring jugs might not be accurate as theirs, or theirs might not be as accurate, and they're putting their times up and I'm doing exactly the same thing and getting different results. So it's always best to do your own test. There's so many different variables of change that it's always best to do your own test, get comfortable with a film and a developer according to your own times and your own way that you develop. I do love this old tractor. I've got a few shots of this, but let's see how this film comes out on it. I'm trying to get a composition of this. It's so what I'm thinking of when I'm trying to get this composition of this tractor, I'm trying to envision in my mind what it would look like framed in a mount, black and white, and visioning it on my wall as well. So I'm literally looking at the tractor, looking at compositions and trying to imagine what it would look like in a frame and would it look any good. So that's what's going through my mind as I'm looking around this tractor at the moment. Might work, it might not. But at least I've a little plan. And I think I've just found one. The little tiny chimney, the forward sign now. I need to close my aperture down a little bit. Oh, 1/30th of a second. How about if we make a composition using these battery cables? There's a bit of bird poo on it. I want to get that off using a bit of lamb's wool. Look at this. I don't want a bird poo in my photograph. I bought a new focusing screen for the F3 the other day. I had a right result. I went on eBay and I needed a focusing screen because this one has got, I don't know if it's the standard one of the day, but it had the B focusing screen, which is pretty much just a piece of glass. There's no real focusing aid inside. And with my eyes, I really do need a split prism or something inside to make it, you know, better for me to focus. So I went on eBay and I found the K prism, which is the one I wanted for this, which has got split prism inside. And I had that. I had 3 of them, that and a B one, and also a red dot one. So 3 focusing screens for 50 quid. That was a bargain. Shout out. I did something that I've never done before. I just had this idea of testing a film. I usually test, as most of you guys know, I'll test a small piece of exposed film, just cut it off the cassette and put it in a developing tank and see how long it takes for the film, for that film leader to get as dense as I like for my darkroom for making prints. But I didn't want to waste too much developer, so I had a crazy idea of using a film case. I haven't got one. Where's a film case? You know what I mean, no film case. And because I'm using a rotary processor, I thought, well, how can I use this, you know, how can I put very minimal amount of developer in this film case just to develop one piece of film and get it onto my rotary processor? So I had this brainwave of, it actually worked, of super gluing the film case to one of my old developing tanks and putting it in the rotary processor that way. So I can just snip off about an inch or so of film, use minimal developer, 1 part to 1 part ID11 inside the film case, and then stick it on the rotary processor and let it go. I first of all started with 10 minutes. I have not even looked at the times online, to be honest with you. I just went straight to the rotary processor and thought, right, let's see what 10 minutes gives me. And the leader, after fixing and washing the film and drying it out, I looked at the leader through the light and I could hardly see through it, and I thought that's too dense for my liking. I like to see through the leader a little bit if I hold it up to the light, or maybe if I place it on top of my mobile phone with a background there, and if I can just about see through it, I'm happy. That's going to suit me for my style of working. So I went for 8 minutes on a second test, and that one came out okay. It was a little bit more see-through than I wanted. So I decided in the end for 8.5 minutes. So I grabbed my niece, I said, come outside, we'll take some pictures. I put the film inside a Nikon F3 and a 50mm lens, and I took some pictures, cut the film out of the camera and got developing for that 8.5 minutes. And they came out banging. The only thing was, I purposely overexposed. It was quite a sunny day. I had my daughter holding up a scrim as well, just to shot the shadows underneath, you know, the chin and all that stuff. But overexposed. I purposely shot the film at 50 ISO. I just had this feeling that I needed to overexpose for some weird reason. But I didn't need to. The negatives did come out quite heavy. It wasn't the development, it was the overexposure. But it wasn't bad. Easily recoverable in a darkroom or in Photoshop. And I've got one of the photographs of my niece up at the moment. And when I saw the negatives, although they was, you know, I knew they was overexposed, there was bags of detail in there. I could see it straight away. But the only thing I didn't know was how the grain structure was going to look. And I was so surprised how fine grain this was with the ID11 at 1 part to 1 part. And not only that, the contrast of the film as well. It kind of reminds me a little bit of what I shot in the last video, the Ferrania P30. It's got that. And also XX, Kodak XX as well. It's got that contrasty look to it, which sometimes you've got to, you know, try and tame. You've got to try and control it, otherwise it can get out of control, especially on sunny days when you're going to get bags of shadows and highlights. But I was honestly, when I looked at it, I just thought, wow, what, you know, why haven't I noticed this film before in the past? Probably because I shoot Usual Suspects, but yeah. I'm glad this stuff landed on my desk because I like to see what I can do with it in the future. And not only that, I love shooting P30, but I've recently learned that Ferrania are discontinuing that. But if they do, that's a film I like shooting. And you know, now and again, if I want to do a little bit of hard-hitting contrast, so this looks to me a little bit similar to it. So it might be a nice alternative to Ferrania P30, but I definitely like the way that they came out. And I'm always excited when I see new films coming out onto the market, and I think it's great. Look, there's a lot of people that bang on about rebrands, they did and all this stuff, but to be honest with you, you know, the youngsters coming into film photography, if they just went into a shop and saw FP4, HP5, a bit of Kodak, they go, this is boring, isn't it? They go in there and they see a range, or even go online, they see a whole range of these funky looking films. And it's like a kid in a candy store, you know. There's so much selection, even though some of the rebrands are a little bit more expensive than the original. I like it. It looks quite contrasty, and I like contrast. So I found that an interesting way to try and test that film for my particular style of developing, and on the rotary processor using a little film case there, a little tiny bit of snippet of film. And it came out around about the right ballpark. I said 8.5 minutes, that's what I developed for, and the negatives come out looking good. So I'm happy that I did that. I went into the darkroom and made a print. That's the main thing. I want to see what it looks like on paper. And this is one now that's actually still drying. I can show you. That's the spark plugs, not the spark plugs. You see that? That's the battery cables on that tractor. And I'll tell you what, when I was trying to make this print, I was looking through the focus finder on under the enlarger for the grain, and it was so fine I literally had trouble trying to focus this in. So it was quite nice to see that, because that means I can use this film if I want maybe contrasty landscapes or something and do that. So, you know, like I said earlier on, I'm glad that I found this film. Otherwise I would never have looked at Svema NK whatever. I just wouldn't have looked at it. So yeah, I'm happy with that print, the way that's come out. What do you reckon? Nice and contrasty, what I like. It's quite a different photograph as well. But what happened? Some of you sharp-eyed viewers might have noticed that I changed the pictures around. What I showed you of the cows when I took the photographs wasn't quite the ones that I displayed, and the reason why is my worst fears did come to life, and that was that the film wasn't loaded correctly inside the camera. And I wouldn't say a schoolboy mistake at all. When I first loaded it, I advanced the camera. You could see the advanced turn round, and I thought, okay, great, it's caught on. But when I was out shooting, I had my suspicions, and I thought there's something not right about this, and it was spinning around, and I thought it might have been a loose, the film was loose inside the cassette. So every time I advanced, I kept rewinding it back to a taut position and then advancing, and then I would see it sort of near enough spin round. I thought, okay, I think it's there, but it was worrying me the more I went along. So as far as I was aware, it was advancing, but the film was loose inside. But I did have my suspicions, and when I came back, took the film out of the camera, that's when I realised, oh dear, I haven't taken any photographs. So I just went back to the farm on my bike and took a few more photographs, purposely for this vlog. Also, I'm trying to still test this film out. So yeah, interesting. But it's hard to see if you like a particular film using just one roll. I'm really going to have to grab myself a few more of these rolls to really get used to it, the developing, or, you know, and the shooting style of it. One thing I did notice, I did a little test with the film as well, using a pair of scissors, very lightly tried to scratch the emulsion. Just wanted to see how tough it was, and it is not tough at all. It's very easily scratched. So if you do use this film, you've got to be very careful with it. And yeah, I would like to try it with different speeds, maybe try it at 200 or 400, maybe push it, pull it a little bit, I don't know, just have a little dabble with it and see. You know, most of us do that with our films. We get used to it, we know what we can do with it, and we know what scenes and what subjects we can shoot with them films. So this is one I'd like to have a little dabble with and see, you know, see if it can fit into my normal style of photography. It might not, but you know, it's always worth trying these things out. But if it wasn't for Dragon rebranding this film, I would never have known about Svema NK-2SH as such. So, you know, when you see these rebrands, there's often something in the background from a manufacturer somewhere that's worth looking at or looking into. So anyway, guys, let me know in the comments if any of you guys have used that Svema film. Let me know if you've bought any of this Dragon stuff. I'll put links in the description to the lads that are respooling and selling this film. Let me know in the comments, though, if you've ever used that Svema NK-2SH film. I'd love to know and what you think about it as well. I hope you enjoyed the video. Have a great weekend. Happy shooting if you're going out taking photographs. And I'll catch you next time.